Be a wolf on the battlefield with Commando on Amigos, everything Amiga. Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. We are live from BoatFest 2024, and we are live from BoatFest 2024. We're having a great time here in downtown Hurricane, West Virginia. We've got a crowd of about 40 guys, and some ladies have made an appearance for a brief period before leaving.
Running, screaming from the door.
That's right, that's right. So I'm John.
I'm Aaron.
And today we're talking about Commando. Aaron, you know Commando, the original title of Commando was Wolf of the Battlefield.
Oh yeah?
Now if you were on the battlefield, what animal would you be?
Oh man, well, not a wolf, I can tell you that right now. I'd say something more like, I mean, what would I like to be? It's like a tiger or something, but probably more like a varmint of some sort, like maybe like a weasel or a, something I could dig underground. I don't want to be involved because I'm not very fast, and I'm assuming my animal would be about the same speed I am. So I need have to be something of relative speed, so I figure if I could dig underground, I might have a chance. What about you?
I would definitely be a possum.
Why?
Because they can play dead.
That's a good point. I thought about that.
There
Very
you
clever,
go.
Bo. You're a smart guy, aren't you?
So, Aaron, we've been doing BoatFest now for about 8 hours. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What's what do you think, man? What's the vibe?
It's a cool vibe. I'm digging it. I've had a good time. A lot of crazy stuff around here that I haven't seen before. Lots of stuff that we've never seen at BoatFest before. Like every year, people bring different stuff. I mean, there's some crazy stuff. Reproductions of old computers I've never even touched. There's a couple of machines here I've never even got to physically touch before. The Odyssey 1 over there with the TV hooked up to it's real awesome. We've got some Amigas that are going to be blowing people's minds. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. It's been great to see the stuff, but it's also always nice. See, I'm going to put everybody over the crowd. It's always good to see people. They come to town. It's like your buddies coming in. When you were a kid, your stinky uncle would come to town.
I always think about you as that.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And that guy, you didn't want him around.
Yeah, I like you.
This is when you have the people you like come around, your buddy, your cousin or something. That's like all these people, your like-minded folks that are into retro gaming, having a good time in a nice, chill environment. So the best part of the whole thing is seeing all you fine folks.
That's good. That's sweet.
I'm getting over it.
Yeah.
It didn't work, did it? I didn't get
over. You heard the raucous applause that followed it. So
what I meant to say is these no good bums. They've screwed me again.
Aaron, let's talk about Commando.
I'm going Commando, by the way. Did I mention that? Too much?
Okay, so this game was released back in 1985 by Capcom. Of course, Capcom didn't do a lot of their own publishing in North America. In the EU and in the US, this was put out by Data East. Did you know, Aaron, that Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, we think about that as Capcom, but that was also Data East.
I knew that, though.
Weird, yeah.
Because it's on the truck in the game.
That's true. Yeah. I didn't think about that. Anyway, Capcom was still a young company at the time. They were first formed in 1984, riding the crest of the arcade game craze. They put out their first game, Vulgus. Ugh.
Yeah.
That sounds nasty.
Why do I call it Pucus?
Yeah.
Or Krampus.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could think of, put us on the end of it.
And 1942 was their biggest hit, and what propelled them into stardom. So this game was designed by Takuro Fujiwara. He was developer of both Commando and Ghouls and Ghosts, and he later designed Strider. So, Commando, what do? Well, in Commando, you take control of a super soldier named Super Joe. Is there a better soldier name than Joe?
Well, Super Joe is better.
I guess you're not wrong. G.I. Joe?
Super's still better. He's Super Joe.
Does G.I. mean something? Guy Joe?
It does. I think it does mean something. Bam, there you
Government
go.
issue Joe.
Is that true, or did you just make that up? All right, there you go.
That's weird.
That's
now
not
that
good.
I think about it. So you got Super Joe. and he's been sent in a one-man mission, okay, as these things often are. He's dropped off in the jungle by a helicopter, and he's got to fight his way out single-handedly, and he's got to rescue hostages, and the whole world is against Super Joe, including the animals, okay? So Super Joe is armed with an assault rifle, and your assault rifle in this game has unlimited ammo, so you're not walking around picking up bullets, but you do have a limited supply of hand grenades. Super Joe was injured in a previous conflict.
Yeah.
He's only able to fling the grenades directly forward.
He tore a
no matter where.
rotator cuff. He needs Tommy John
That's
surgery
right.
to take care of that.
And so, the grenades, though, in this game, what kind of makes this game interesting, and this might have been one of the first games to do this, is that the grenades arc up.
Yeah.
And they can go up and over opponents and land in elevated spaces and things like that. So the game uses that mechanic to great effect later on. At the end of each level, the screen stops scroll. This is a forced scrolling game. You kind of move forward and the screen moves with you, but at the end of each level, you reach what looks like the exterior of a castle, like the gates of Mordor, right? And then the doors open,
that way, yeah.
and then all of these soldiers rush out. And then you see a guy, he kind of reminds me of where you would be on the battlefield. He just kind of comes out there and he's trying to get out.
Yeah.
He's a bigger dude, he's shambling along. You get 20,000 points. You know, we were talking about your legacy last week on the show.
Oh, God.
How many points do you think you'll be worth at the end of all this?
You know, I think negative numbers of points. Like
I don't-
it's like if you went out and like stomped on a field mouse or a bird, that's not a good look. It's the same thing. I don't think you're worth it. I don't have a cool green outfit there like that.
I would give you at least 100 G's.
Thank you. 100 G's? I'd
Yeah.
go ahead and shoot myself for that much money.
So extra lives are given out at 10,000, 50,000 points, up all the way up to 960,000 points. And this is a game where you just play until you've exhausted all of your lives or you've completed all 8 levels. So in between each level, you've got a cutscene. And this is another thing that was sort of a new thing in 1985. You've got Joe going about the business of an everyday soldier.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do soldiers do? Well, they smoke, they eat some MREs,
Yeah.
and they sit by a fire.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think
That's
about
it.
what are the 3 things that soldiers are just constantly doing, that's it.
If you think about a guy that gets, so here's the government, and this could happen. I can see this happen. If I can wax this off for a moment. So here we are, it's the U.S. government. We got to send one guy in, like we cheaped out. You know, and we got a conflict somewhere, God knows where. We can afford one guy and one chopper. And here's a couple hand grenades. You can find some more. Can you imagine this in a real war? You probably come across some crap, Joe. Get in there, and here's the memory. And so you think, like, instead of like setting on a fire, something after if you get past any of these levels, he should be like popping pills or like I don't know, like putting on suit armor or something. Surely we got to send this guy something. We send the lone gunman in here. Who are we fighting, by the way? They've got like 1 million guys, but they suck too. It's like 2 sucky armies having a suck fight. It's no good.
This is a game that really could have benefited with some more story. Because they don't tell you anything.
What are these walls you
Right.
come upon? They've got these huge doors. Like they swing open, you're like, man, a mech's gonna walk out.
That's
and
what I
just
was
some
expecting.
geeks run out.
Yeah.
A bunch of dorks, and this one guy's running for his life. Ah! I gotta get out of here! And you plug him in the back. And I mean, what is this? And when you win, like, what did we conquer with this war? This is like not even, I mean, maybe this is like a joke. Super Joe, they're just screwing with him. So I got to put him out somewhere and let him sleep.
You know, it's possible because 1942 was sort of the Japanese indictment on itself about World War II. Maybe this is an indictment on a slightly later conflict where it was just sort of all meaningless.
I get the feeling that, like, Super Joe's commanding officer didn't like Super Joe. You know, and so someone said,
Well, his name's Super Joe. His commander is probably like, who's this guy?
We need you to send in some troops to, like, God knows where. And take care of business. And the guy's like, well, I got to follow orders, but I'm not wasting any of my good troops. Send in Super Joe, that geek. And then
Do you think Super Joe is his given name? Is Super his Christian name?
I assume it's a nickname. I mean, he's pretty super. He could beat all these guys by himself.
That's true.
But I mean, he's probably pretty arrogant.
Yeah.
And you know how something else I've learned about people in the military, like from friends
Here we
of mine
go.
that were in. No, it's not a bad thing, but like, when you've got like an upper level military guy, they're not necessarily better, smarter, or stronger than the lower level guy. And you don't want a lower level guy showing you up.
No.
Let's say you're regular Joe Smith, the CO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here comes Super Joe. He's lobbing grenades around like he's John Elway. You know, he's bashing guys. You don't want this guy under you because he's going to make you look like a geek. So you just kind of shove him away.
Well, that's when the opportunity comes out. Listen, we got a real important mission to send you on.
That's a theory. That's a running theory I have.
Yeah.
Because no one could get past these doors and walls. Somehow Super Joe pulls it off.
Now, one thing that I was under the impression of all these years was that this had something to do with the movie Commando starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
No, nothing to do. Even though these movies were released sort of at the same time, nothing. No, there's no product tie-in or anything. Do you think this game could have benefited from an Arnold tie-in?
Well, if you have one of those, it's almost certain death for your game. I mean, there's a lot of Arnold games that have ties that are horrible.
That's
so
true.
I don't think it would have helped this. And this was a huge hit, and they didn't have to pay anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Super Joe not a real guy, but maybe they threw him a few bucks if he is. But otherwise,
I don't think Super Joe. Who was the guy that? Who was the stunt man? Wasn't there a stunt man? Super Joe.
Super Dave Osborne.
Super Dave.
Yeah, but every time he did a stunt, he got violently murdered.
What's he doing right now?
He passed away. But.
Well. So there's a third game in the series. Well, there's three games total in the series. Yeah, we should talk about the second game first, huh? The second game is Bionic Commando. Because guess what? You don't come out of this war unscathed.
Yeah.
Super Joe took a grenade to the arm. Luckily, they fitted him with the arm that's got the gimmick on it.
Wait a minute, Bionic Commando is also Super Joe?
It's also Super Joe.
You're kidding me.
I think that's right. I mean,
do you make this? You just have little stories in your mind.
In my mind, Super Joe got injured.
Let me get this straight. According to the boat lore, Super Joe took a grenade in the arm.
That's right.
But he no-sold it. So they just put a big clamped up robot arm on it?
Well, in my mind, he found the robot arm in the jungle.
Who built it? Why was it there?
It's the same people that planted the grenades in the jungle.
So
they're just things. Things in the jungle.
I wouldn't take this. Please don't put this on Wiki.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
And so the Bionic Commando in the arcade, and of course, Bionic Commando, the most famous version, is the one that came out for the NES, but it was an arcade game first. And then the third game in the series, Aaron, do you know?
I don't. I'm afraid to ask.
The third game starring Super Joe is Mercs.
Mercs has Super Joe in it?
Uh-huh.
We owned Mercs. Do you remember that, Brent? Super Joe? Oh, sorry, he didn't exist, what I meant to say. So is this also baloney or is this real?
No, it's real.
Was the second one baloney or not?
No, it's real.
So he was Body Commando and in Merc.
Yeah, he's Mr. Merc.
Okay. You are lying, aren't you?
Well, I don't know about that.
Aren't we supposed to give facts? Are we just supposed to make stories up?
Well, listen, I don't know what the lead character's name was in Mercs, but
there
I have
three guys in Mercs.
Well.
Is it Super Joe, Super Bill, Super Fred?
It could be a clone situation. I don't know. Who can say? It's not like there's someplace you can go to find this information. So we're going to move on. Laurent Giroux has a comment. Yes, Laurent. Oh, so there you go. Bam. Confirmed by Laurent Giroux.
Even a blind monkey finds a banana every once in a while. Don't say he goes.
Affirmation, baby.
I can't believe you were sort of telling the truth on some of that.
Now, this game, Commando, was ported everywhere.
I heard that, yeah.
This was ported to the NES. The 2600 got a Commando. The Intellivision. The Atari 7800.
Yeah.
The Atari 8-bit was supposed to get a version. It was planned, never released. The prototype was discovered in the early 2000s. This got a release on the Amiga, of course, the Atari ST, the Speccy, the MSX, the CPC, the 64, and Aaron, the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, all over the place. The latest game of this, there's actually a it's a Commando 3, or the Wolf of the Battlefield 3, was released in more modern times in 2008. I don't know anything about that game though. Don't know.
You want to make something up about it real quick?
I could, but instead, Aaron, let's talk about the Amiga
That had
version.
Super Joe's wife in it. Because she's running around.
Mary Jo.
Well, like you mentioned, this did come out on the Amiga, of course. You got it. It's funny, it came out kind of late on the Amiga, 1989. And if you look at the reviews of the day, they're like, well, this is kind of neat, but what the heck? What's this doing out now? It's like, why not? Because money, that's why. This is posted by Elite but it was done by there is no listed developer except just like some guy. And so they've credited to Martin W. Ward, the conversion. Again, this was done by Elite and published, I should say. Elite response, we played a lot of Elite games over the years. I didn't realize how many we'd played. The Bomb Jacks, that was them. Buggy Boy.
A lot of arcade ports.
Remember Dogs of War? We played that.
Oh, that was a horrible game. Gosh.
It was okay.
Remember Amigathon? That was another one of those games that never ended.
They did Paperboy. They did that Live and Let Die game we played. Thundercats. Can't win them all, you know. But they had some decent titles, some mix. And again, this is one of those games that lists a manager, Peter Cook. Conversion was by Martin W. Ward. Martin Ward worked on Aqua Blast, Buggy Boy, Live and Let Die, Paperboy, World Championship Soccer. A lot of these guys worked on the same games. Coder on this, Neil Latarche. Graphics, Steve Beverly. And the music, Mark Cooksey. I don't think it's a name we've mentioned that much.
No, that sounds like a nickname.
He worked on a lot of the same games, the Bomb Jacks, Aqua Blast, Ghosts and Goblins, and Grand National. Did we play Grand National to Spec?
That's not an Amiga game. They didn't release Grand National.
No, it is. They did. I think they did.
I don't think
it was on Lemon. They never lie. This, of course, was OCS joint and 1999 pounds on this one. That's what you're paying to get this one.
I wonder if that was the sort of arcade port price in '89.
That's the price you paid for a 4 or 5 year old arcade game.
Right. Not quite a budget release, but not full price.
Yeah. So you mentioned it's funny because me and Brick covered this on ARG when we did this 7800. 7800 version of this has the special extra chip in it.
The Pokey chip. Yeah.
And it's got real good audio. It's actually pretty good on there. So I was wondering, okay, we've seen what they can do on some of these other lesser systems. So what's the Amiga going to bring to the table? Well, I'll tell you what the Amiga brings to the table. No options is what it brings to the table. You just start the game up and go. It starts out just like the arcade. It puts you down. Of course, they've sort of 4x3'd the game to a certain extent, and it's basically, in a lot of ways, they've done a pretty good job of porting it with a butt. In the arcade, I played both these this week just to get a kind of a feel for it, and in some ways, I found the Amiga version to be easier than the arcade. I think the guys come out a little slower, and I found the range of the grenades was much different than the arcade. You tried both?
I tried both. I didn't find it to be that much different, but I was mostly wondering if in the Amiga version, if they did some change to the code to allow you to throw grenades in other directions, but of course they did.
Well, that would change the game
fundamentally. It would.
But it wouldn't be a bad change.
It would make it better, yeah.
But because this game, when you play this in the arcade, it's a game that punishes you for putting in money. It hates you, and it never wants you to win, and so it crushed you. It's funny when I was reading how well this game did in the arcade, because I'd always heard it did real well, like it made a ton of money, but it was the leader in the world in multiple countries for a couple years. And then it's sort of just like now, no one looks back and they're like, oh man, that Commando. It's not like like Ghouls and Ghosts. Something gets a lot more depth in this.
I really think it's because there were so many games that came out in Commando's wake that were so much better.
Yeah.
Like Akari Warriors wipes the floor with Commando.
It does.
And so that's one of the reasons. And also, a lot of the games that are like this are two-player games, and people tend to remember two-player games more.
Yeah, you've got a valid point. So again, this game has you running through much like the arcade. You're going through the stages. But the stages are not, I wouldn't call them super diverse. There's a deserty stage, and there's a stage where there's lots of trenches dug. Then there's a stage where there's lots of shelters that have cannons in them you have to get past. Then there's a stage where you're working your way through the jungle to get to the airport. And every stage ends basically the same way with where you fight the fort thing. It's not, I wouldn't call it riveting gameplay, but it's hard. And luckily the Amiga version is, because I don't know, how far did you get on this without cheating?
I never played it without cheating.
Okay, I did, and I got past, so you had no confidence in your ability to get past the end.
No, because I know what Commando is, and I know what it means.
I actually got past the first level.
Nice.
Without cheating, and then Cheatamania, which ran a while into that, because I couldn't get any further. But in the arcade and in the 7800 version, there are secret areas you can go into. You know, and I couldn't get to any of them in this. I'm assuming they're
I don't
not
think they're
here.
in the game.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
You could go into like you had to
You
do
can go
a
into
certain
bunkers,
thing,
yeah.
To get them. This game does feature some like vehicles that'll go across your path. It does have the elevated areas where like sometimes a motorcycle will come across, and you can, if you time it right, you can grenade that guy. But it's a lot harder on the Amiga because you have to time it perfectly. Because if he gets there and parks, I could never kill him. I had to kill him when he was still in motion.
Right.
Sometimes that road's broken. The bit where the doors open up, it's not the most fun end of a level I've ever played.
It's about the least amount of fun you can have at the end of a level.
Yeah, I mean
because they set it up to be this great encounter. You've got these doors, and like you said, you expect some awesome mech or some robo tank to come out.
Yeah.
And when it's just more of the same guys that you've been fighting, plus a real cowardly dude.
Yeah.
What's that? Why did they do that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. They knew what they were doing, I guess. Maybe they should, I don't know, maybe they have technology or whatever. But I found that they gave you an ample supply of grenades when you needed them, but of course getting to them is not the easiest, because one of the things this game does, and the Amiga version is even worse than the arcade, is you get caught on stuff. Also, you'll think you can go a certain way, but you can't because of the way the background is.
The pathfinding is weird to a lot of the power-ups, and it's designed to make you put more quarters in.
Yeah, and like sometimes when there's a guy in a trench, like this is something I thought was weird. So there's a guy in a trench like a grenade launcher. So like when you're in front of him, he's launching grenades, and then you walk beside him. And if you're not at the right angle, you can stand right beside the guy with your gun and go like boom, 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 boom. He no-sells it. He's like, no. And then if you go like, oh, I'm going to run away, he's like, oh. And he starts to run, then you can go over and you can get him then. But I mean, what is that? Like, what kind of weird battle is this?
I think we're just in the very early stages of games in this genre. So they were still trying to figure out how these guys need to move and how we can do this in a way that's realistic. Again, this is super early. I mean, 1985. Can you think of another game that's even close to like this that came out before 1985? I mean, Gauntlet is 1986, I think.
What's that other game where you're a soldier and you're running, but he runs like he's goofy? He's got the crazy legs are going out. There's another one of those goofy games.
It's old Crazy Legs.
I can't remember the name of it. Somebody might know it, but that's the only one I can think of. This was, I mean, it was sort of defining the genre, but it got better, you know. This is one of those games that got put on that German index. Remember that shtick?
Yeah. I think they weren't allowed to sell it, I think, until very, very recently. In fact, I think maybe one of our reviewers goes into that one.
I think they changed it eventually when they to release something over there. That list is weird, though, because this is an odd one to put on it. I mean,
it seems like this would be a really easy one to just say they're robots.
This is the least violent war game, because when you shoot a guy, they just go like, wah, and it disappears.
Well, I mean, they do sort of explode yellow guts all over the place.
What version are you playing? Yellow guts?
Yeah, I mean, you see them on the ground, and there's a rib cage.
You sort of you have your own like mind version of this.
I just play the game.
It's scary.
I call them like I see them.
And yellow guts? What are they? All a beer? Is that what it was?
I don't know, but like I said, there's yellow guts.
Now, I don't know about that, but just as a tidbit, I thought this was funny because we got a lot of C64 people here. This is also, of course, released in the 64, and Ron Hubbard did the music at this. And I've read a story where he rolled into the offices. He spent all night working on the music, and the next morning, he had the music played on every C64 in the office. They wrote him a check, and he caught the next train home. He worked on it for one night. What did you think about the tunage, the one tune in this?
It was okay. It didn't blow me away.
I mean, arcade, it's about like the arcade. I mean, the thing is...
I mean, there's again, this is the same thing that we always talk about whenever we do an arcade port. There's two different reviews. There's the review of the arcade game, and then there's the review of how well does the Amiga capture the arcade version.
I will say that, like, this is a no-frills conversion. That's not bad.
No.
I mean, it's a perfectly playable game of Command if you want to play it. But if you expect them to, like, add Amiga coolness to it, they hate you for that. They're not doing it. The music's not juiced up. It's nothing makes it stand out on the Amiga. It's close enough to the arcade to be okay. It plays a decent game, but it doesn't give you anything else. They could have added stuff to make this a little more fun, or maybe some power-ups or something. I guess they didn't want to screw with the game.
Well, and again, they're trying, the programmers at Elite were like, okay, we got to get this thing out the door. They weren't being like, man, we got to turn this in the greatest game of all time.
Well, you're probably right there. This game reviews probably like you would have expected it to. The people at Lemon, they're not fans of this one. They gave this a 5.86. People over at Hall of Light, give it 67. The Amiga reviews of the era were also, like I said, I read a lot of these, and they were like, this is perfectly fine, but they took off a ton of points because it was old. And you know how much they hate that back in the day?
Yeah.
Like, that was a real pet peeve in the magazines. If you tried to release something that had been around 5 or 6 years ago, too old. They didn't want to see it. So Amiga Action gave this a 57. Amiga, which is low. I mean, for this, it's not that bad. Amiga Format gave it a 71. CU Amiga gave it a 67. So these aren't great scores. 03 gave it a 79. The average score, 69. This isn't that bad a game. I think this is a C minus. I mean, if you want to play Commando,
I would rate it higher. I would rate it higher because when you buy an arcade port, you buy you want to play the arcade game, and this game delivers that in spades.
It's funny though. Like I said, when the magazines looked at these games, I read a ton of reviews on this before as I was doing this, and they were all almost every single article talked about that it was okay, but it was too old.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
It's funny to think about though, because here we are in 2024. We're looking at this game from 89, all right? And with some fun, I mean, we can look at it that way, but the people back in the contemporary times, they had no time for any old crap.
Yeah.
It had to be all new.
Because you got to remember that it's not like they were just firing up this game to try it out on an emulator. They were saying if you're going to plunk down 20 quid for this game, you better be aware that what you're getting is an arcade game from 1985.
Fair enough. Did we get any Discord action on this?
We did. We'll do our remote reviews first, and then we'll open up the floor for some people that might want to come up here and announce some reviews themselves. Alien Breeder starts us out. He says, Commando is a game that I played a ton of on the C64 and is one of the most popular C64 games. So the Amiga port should be even better, right? Well, graphically it is, and it shows that the Amiga can match arcade games in that department, but that's about all this one has. The music is not quite the same as the arcade and not as memorable as the C64. The gameplay is also not as good, and in 1989, the world had moved past this 8-bit game, and the Amiga already had better games to choose from, such as Airborne Ranger, Batman, Battle Squadron, North and South, and even Shadow of the Beast. Would you rather play Shadow of the Beast than this?
Yes. It's prettier.
Overall, the Amiga version gets 675 top bananas. David Hearn Ryder writes, having enjoyed the flawed but fun C64 classic, I was so excited to get my mitts on the Amiga version back in the day. Started promising with nice graphics, and it has all the levels, but I was overcome by mediocrity before the Rebel forces got me. Music's a letdown, grenade throwing pointless, gameplay not frantic nor particularly challenging, even with punishing collision detection. By 1989, this was much more of a lazy cash grab than a proper conversion of the arcade original. Command don't. 5 out of 10.
I get overcome by mediocrity quite a bit.
Oh, that's my life.
That happens a lot. I'm going to put that on my headstone. Overcome by mediocrity. That's a good way to go
And then you can put 100,000 points below it.
Bam. Well, yeah.
We have a couple reviews by people who are among us right now.
Oh.
Pajako or Graham, would you like to come up and dictate your review? Come on up, Pajako.
Give it up for Pajako. I'll hold that. Look at this. Boat's giving up the seat. Wow. I've seen it all. I have seen it all.
I've got to remember what I wrote.
No. No reading it either.
Oh, cool. Oh, awesome.
Just get into it.
Reading is not what I do well, so clip this bad boy on. Yep.
So I played this quickly this week last week before I flew out, because I've been here since Tuesday. To be honest, for me, I found the game adequate, I think is the best word for it, but I didn't hate it. I think if I had one major complaint, other than the sprite collision, is that the bullets, you just don't shoot as far as you do in the arcade, so you can be blasting enemies in the face, and it looks like you're hitting them and you're not, and it just drove me crazy. But I made it to the 3rd level without cheating.
And they just stand there too, like geese.
Well, there's one, if you get to the end of the 1st level, like you said, there's a guy in the corner and you can be shooting him with bullets, and he's like, can't get me. So that was good. But
the second you walk away, he's like, I'm gonna get you.
And he legs it.
And you plug that sucker.
But ultimately, I had fun playing it. There's a great thing when my son is playing games and he gets really stressed out. I kind of say to him, like, if you're not enjoying it, put it down, play something else. And he said those exact words back to me while I was playing Commando, because I was screaming at it the other day. So
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Give it up for the boy, Pajaka. Thank you. Who else we got here? Is Graham in there? Where's Graham at? Graham, come on up here, man. Come on, help this man come to the stage. Give it up for him. All the way from Australia, ladies and gentlemen. He took the long way round, if you know what I mean. He's making his way over here, folks. He's sort of dressed like the Commando. You may now refer to him as Super Graham, if you so choose. Come on, get in here. Get in here, Soup. You can plug this in, man.
Jet lag, Graham is better.
Jet lag, Graham. Listen, super people don't get jet lag.
Yeah,
So,
unfortunately.
what'd you think of Commando, Graham?
Well, let's face it, it's an Atari ST copy.
Oh, those are the bad words, Graham.
No, it's facts. The development crew is identical, and they basically didn't change it.
Yeah.
So
do we
there's-
know which one? Do we know which version came first? Was the SD version made first?
Oh, I believe so.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It has really on the ST. This is probably would be a more standout title than it is on the Amiga.
You don't have a high opinion of the ST, do you?
Well, I love the ST. I mean, I hosted a show about it. It's great.
Yeah, true.
I'm just saying, I've played a lot of ST games. This is okay if it plays as well. And the scrolling, some scrolling. ST's not the. No, so you didn't dig the game at all. Did you like the arcade game?
Yeah, I don't mind the arcade game. I prefer it to, the other games that are similar, like Akari Warriors and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I find Commando's much more enjoyable, more pick-up. Even the clones like Rambo on the Commodore 64, I didn't enjoy that as much.
Yeah, it's not the best, that one.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, the gameplay elements where you can't rotate with the grenade, does that bring you down at all? I mean, it is annoying when you can't use it like you want to me.
Yeah, because the game is meant to be a fast flow in your direction so you can rotate and keep moving, and that's part of the schmick of the game.
Yeah.
And when that's missing, it makes it, nowhere near as fun.
He mentioned Mercs, which we owned a Mercs for a while. I found that game a lot more fun than this because of I like the control method better too on that one.
Yeah.
But of course, like Boat said, this game sort of lost in history because everything that came after it improved on it.
Yep.
So very good. Where would you, on your scale, on the Graham scale, 1 to say a 10, where would you put this thing?
Well, I put it as a 5 out of 10 because I think the Atari 7800 version is the best version. And
Good
I was
call.
talking with Pac Billy today at the
Not
Boat
that guy.
Fest.
Not
Yeah,
that dude.
that guy. And we both concur. It's the 7800 is probably the best home port version.
I'm not going to fight you on it. That's it. I think that's an excellent assessment. Thank you very much. Graham, WWF, you give it up for him, everybody. Thank you, Graham. Thank you very much. Anybody else want?
Anybody else that wants to come up and give a review for Commando? Rob O'Hara.
Oh! Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen. He's high-fiving the crowd. He's kissing babies. Don't kiss him. Here he comes, making his way around the table. I thought this guy might have an opinion. Here he comes. It's Rob O'Hara, everybody.
What is the setup you got?
This is the guy from Big Rob's Van, by the way. And he also does some other stuff. There you go, Rob.
How are we doing this? Clip this on?
Yeah,
Hold this?
clip it. I'm putting it. Clip on your bottom lip. Whatever makes you happy. You got an opinion on Commando?
Listen, let me tell you right off the bat, you're saying it wrong. It's Commando. As in, do play this game.
So you're putting
This
it over?
game is great. I saw this game when I was a kid. I went to the arcade. There was nothing else that was like this game. You had your shoot 'em ups, your vertical shoot 'em ups, but this was a dude.
Yeah.
This wasn't any dude. This was a normal Joe. This wasn't random Joe.
That's true.
Super Joe, okay? I had this on the Commodore. That's what I grew up playing.
Yeah.
As Boat knows this trivia fact. I have already said this publicly. I've told my wife the high score music, that's what I want played at my funeral. At the end, when I go in, they got to get just that just play that over and over as everybody walks out. I think when you compare this to other games, like you compare this to Ikari Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's them trying to add to perfection.
Oh.
Like you've already got Commando's good enough, and they go, what else can we do? So they keep adding gimmicks. What's Gunsmoke? Okay, Capcom, right?
Yep.
same type of game, but now you got 3 buttons to fire different. It likes to keep adding different things like that, but they didn't have to do that. Also, if you are in a war type situation and you're lined up a little bit outside of a guy, do you want a guy that can throw grenades diagonally? No. You want him throwing them straight ahead. If you're on the left, you're on the right, you're not taking a grenade to the back of the head. That's what you want.
Some goofy logic there, Flag.
No, that Super Joe set a trend. You don't want to be on the side of a grenade.
You enjoy his lack of ability to throw anywhere but forward.
Well, you can shoot in any direction, but I mean, you don't want just willy-nilly grenade tossing. You want to be thinking that out and what direction that you're going.
It seems like it'd make more sense, like logistically with a human, to shoot in just one direction and throw the grenade anywhere.
No, not if you're in front of the grenade.
I mean, I think Joe's got some kind of elbow, some tennis elbow or something. That's my guess.
No. Now, this is what I'll say about the Amiga version. I don't think the Amiga version improves enough. You know what I mean? Like when you had 8-bit games and then you went to 60-bit, like it doesn't take enough, move the game forward enough. You know, it's still basically the same game as it ever was.
Do you prefer the C64 version?
Of everything, sure.
Oh, you're a homer though, aren't you? Not bad. So you're telling me that the home ports are good enough for you? You like the? I mean, do you ever play the arcade version?
Well, of course, what the arcade version has is the 2 buttons. Right. So that's.
Well, the Amiga now has 2 buttons with the new versions that are out.
Right. But back then it was button and the space bar and stuff. So that.
What do they do with the C64?
Space bar. Yeah, space bar for.
Well, I think we now have differentiated why the Amiga version is better, right there.
I mean, is it super Joe? No.
It's super duper Joe. I think the Commodore 64 is like sloppy Joe. He's staggering around, throwing grenades straight up.
No, I'm giving this at least 7 out of 10 grenades.
7 out of 10?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
So there you go.
Thank you, Flack. Everybody give it up for Flack. A very good assessment, Flack. Thank you, man. I see Boat's making his way back over. Hey, everybody give it up for Boat's shirt. What about that? Isn't that nice? He's got like 50 of these things. They all look great. Hop back into your boat. I think that pretty much sums it up, Boat.
It does. So, we want to thank everybody in our special live audience for coming out to Hurricane for Boat Fest this year. We want to thank all of our virtual attendees. We have huge pictures of Joe Hanna and Ed Van Helland right here in the front row.
Hey, somebody hand me them pictures. Hand those up here to me, pal. Yeah, give me both of them. Look at these. These are nice. Give me that other one, too, there. There you go. It's like they're here in spirit. Let's look at that. In fact, here, put that over here. Now, here we go.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. We love these guys. Thank you, guys.
And Aaron, before we say goodbye, someone has given me a present.
Yeah, that's
present.
True. That's true.
Okay.
I don't know that they wish to remain anonymous. If they did, they won't talk, and if they didn't, they can say something now.
If you wish to remain anonymous, scream your name loudly.
When they don't say anything, that makes you want to go scoot over here a little bit. Go ahead and open this up.
Here we go. Oh man, look at this. This is the game that changed the way that I looked at early Amiga games, Aaron.
Oh, look at that.
This is a box copy of Fairy Tale Adventure.
What a lovely gift.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is the game. And
turn it around to the camera. Show them
yeah, and this is a complete, of course, comes with the instruction manual, the map, and the disc. The map's in there too. And I am super excited to give this another go on my newly rejuvenated Amiga.
Yes.
Today, we arrived this morning before 9 o'clock. And as soon as we got here, Jason went to work on my A1000.
Yeah,
I want to thank several people for everything that's gone on. First of all, I want to thank Joe the Zombie for overnighting the Rejuvenator from Idaho.
Yeah.
He spent all year putting it together, because these are a Rejuvenator you've got to assemble by hand. He spent all year putting it together. He overnighted it just so Jason could install it, because he knew that I couldn't do it. And
you don't even want to make a chance. Yeah, I'm afraid for you to plug into 1000, if I'm honest.
And Jason spent a good 6 or 7 hours putting that thing together. It's not an easy install. And so
he soldered the points in with a lighter. I saw him go. I didn't think like it.
and so the first game I'm going to fire up when I bring this back home, I'm going to fire up some Fairy Tale Adventure and play the heck out of it. So thank you, anonymous benefactor, for this lovely gift.
Hey, I've got an idea, Bo. Let's run an ad. What do you think?
Let's
Can we
do
run
it.
An ad?
Welcome to Retro Rewind. I'm your host, British Jones. Whether you're into the Amiga, Commodore 64, or Tiger floral print speed suits, Retro Rewind has all you need from the friendly hosers of the Great White North. Looking to upgrade your Amiga? Check out the Amiga OS 3.2.2 Kickstart ROM for just $18. Or maybe you need a C64 or C128 diagnostic harness. Grab one while they're hot. Don't miss our best sellers like the 1541 Transit Card for just $1, or the incredible Amiga Coin Cell Battery Adapter. Shop now at Retro Rewind Limited and bring your classic computers back to life. Retro Rewind Limited. Frank's the man.
There it was. Bam. There it was, everybody. Everybody give Retro Rewind a big round of applause for
Woo!
Thank you.
All right, Aaron, we're about ready to get out of here and head over to Thai Fusion for some
that
good
sounds
eating.
good to me.
But we got to tell everybody here, plus all those watching at home, what are we playing next week on Amigos?
Let's find out. Bam. Drum roll, please. And the winner is Leisure Suit Larry 2.
Ooh.
That's a little provocative, isn't it,
It
Bo?
is, it is. I may have to wear my hot collar for that.
I don't like the sound of that either. That sounds no good. That's right. Listen, we're going to keep it. We're not going to work too blue next week, but it is Leisure Suit Larry, so we'll do the best we can. It should be a lot of fun. The game selection committee has spoken. The game selection committee does work blue. They love it.
They do. All right, so thanks as always for watching. We will see you guys next week, and we will see you then. Until then, adios!
Woo! Amigos is made possible by contributions from listeners like you. Patreon supporters help choose the games we play, receive exclusive magnets, and get access to the Amigos Retro Gaming Discord server. Visit patreon.com/AmigosPodcast if you'd like to support the show and join our community.